Hello, all you beautiful people, and welcome back or welcome to the Voice of Reality podcast. I am so excited and grateful to have you here with me and tuning in today. So, thank you all as always. And excuse me, can we believe that today is episode 10? 10 whole podcast episodes of my own voice talking into a laptop screen. Like, honestly, sometimes I just have to laugh thinking, why on earth anyone would want to even listen to little old me? It's just me doing what I love and hoping you all learn and grow with me as we go. And I'm honestly so beyond grateful for you all and for having this 10th episode out as well. I'm also in shock that it is July because, like, surely that's not allowed. Surely surely it's still Christmas. What is going on? I swear to God, though, in my own mind, it is always March. No matter what month it actually is, it's March. It's literally just like something in my head that I never get past that month. But now that it's actually July and we're 6 months into the year, it is just crazy. I do honestly feel like we blinked since Christmas and now here we are. I am so fascinated though by time itself, and I just think it is the weirdest, strangest thing ever. Is it even real? Like, I always read all these things, and it's like, is time even real? But yeah, I always say that time is going to pass anyway. So use it wisely, and I mean that because think about how quick this year has already gone by. And you may be still sitting on those ideas, goals, and things that you've actually wanted to do. And all of this time, you haven't been doing it. In 6 months' time from now, it's going to be 2025. And you're going to wish you had started and just made some sort of move forward. If you simply begin, you can build upon this. And I mean this with absolutely anything you want to do in life. Just begin and keep growing in small amounts each and every day and each month, and it will build. If there's something you've promised yourself or you had an idea and you wanted to do something in 2024, I get it. It's July and you might not have started yet, but it is not too late. It's never too late. Your goals don't have a stop or start or an expiration date. You can still do all the things you wanted to do and everything that you set out to do. So stop using all of those excuses, and especially the one of, oh, it's July, I haven't started, so what's the point? All of that nonsense does not matter. You absolutely got this. And I'm always over here rooting for you, as you know. So go out and get after what you want. Other than that, Queens, how has your week been? For me, there's a lot going on in the background. We are currently trying to pack up all of our bags and our life and move, which is honestly so draining because it's all that I can think about. So there's some big life changes obviously coming around and just changes in environment, but it is exciting. It's very nerve-wracking at the same time, and I do feel like I could get sick every time I think about it for too long. But look, change always comes around, and if we don't feel nervous in some sort of way, that means that we don't want it to work. If you didn't feel nervous doing something new or doing something different, it would mean that you probably don't care all that much. So, yeah, I'll take the nerves because it's kind of a bit of a win. I want it to work out and I want these changes to be positive, good changes. It's so normal to obviously feel nervous and anxious. These two emotions are also so closely tied in with excitement, and sometimes the lines can be blurred in between. But change is good, stepping out of your comfort zone is good, and it is where you grow and it is where you learn the most. It is where a version of you is yet to be met that you've never met before. And how exciting is that? On that note, our Let's Be Real section is a little bit different this week. It's not as much a question, but more so a sentence I've heard a lot in the past 2 weeks. And that is, I just don't think I'm ready, or I could never do that. I need to make sure we all know that nobody feels ready when they start. And as well as that, everyone does start. So, all of those people you see doing those things, achieving greatness, being successful, and making all those wins, yes, they all started. And guess what? They all felt the same things of, I'm not ready. I could never do that. But what if I fail? They all had these thoughts. And guess what they did? They did it anyway and they grew through it because that is how you grow. Doing things you haven't done before and creating the confidence and belief system around those things. For me personally, when I first started my Instagram page, Life in Gym Gear, which is where it all began, I was scared shitless. I had all of those thoughts. I didn't feel ready. I didn't feel good enough. And I didn't feel like I could ever achieve anything from it. I didn't know what to do. So, can I please just say, I did not just breeze through it and just land here? Nobody does. These thoughts are normal. But what you have to remember is to never give in to them, as thoughts are not facts. You are able, you are ready, and you can do it. You will succeed once you actually want to. If you want it and you are willing to try, you absolutely can. So please never forget that. But if you keep allowing your thoughts to win, you will stay in the same place, you'll stay stagnant, and never do the things you want to do. We all grow through taking action. Nobody feels ready as they start, but we still do it anyway. Okay, so let's get into this week's episode, which I'm really excited about. I feel like I could talk on this actual topic for years. So, trying to cut it down into specific points was tough, but I know you'll all love it and get so much value from it as well. Episode 10, we will be discussing training intensity, training purpose, and how to truly get the most from your training itself. We will delve into tips and tricks, of course, I'll never leave you short. And after this episode, I know your training will level up. So let's get into it. Training intensity is the level of effort you exert throughout your sessions or through an exercise. This will completely differ from person to person and from exercise to exercise. As much as we speak about the gym, this can also be used for any sport or training technique along the way. If you want to get better, intensity is needed. This should never be measured by pain, can I just add? Intensity has nothing got to do with the pain you're in or going through. So please remember that. Okay, so we hear and talk about this a lot when it comes to training, but especially when it comes to training and wanting to actually make and see changes, wanting to see progress. It's so important to know that simply just going to the gym and going through the motions is not what's going to help your body change or grow. Training should be challenging. It should take effort and should be working the muscle to its full intensity in order for you to feel it and to actually want to change. Your training should always be tough. Always. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it. And we know that by now. That's probably why not everyone is actually in the gym wanting to train because it's not easy. It can be really fucking hard. And we know that. Now, I always just want to add that there can be days you feel weaker, of course. And there can be days or weeks where you can't necessarily give that 110% like usual for whatever reason that might be. But what we are discussing here is kind of like the days, the majority of the time. Your sessions that feel good, your sessions that you feel strong in, you're progressing in, the weeks that you're progressing in. Because I am very aware, especially as females, not every single session of the month, not every week of the month or year is going to be built on progress. But 90% of the time, we want to take our training to a next level and improve. So that's what we're going to be discussing. So when I am talking about this, I am aware that there's some weeks that feel a little bit lower. We're not as strong. We can't give that 100%. But we are more so talking about the 90% weeks where we feel absolutely amazing and progress is being made. A huge thing I'll always say is to train with a purpose. Like, why on earth would you go into the gym and swing your legs off some machines and dangle from the cable machine and just hope for the best? Because this is not helping you. When going into the gym, think of what you actually want to achieve. Why are you there? What are you doing? I know it sounds a bit deep, but for me, it can be something as simple as looking at my logbook from last week and seeing the numbers that I got on certain exercises and knowing that this week and this session, I'm going to beat them. Or else it could just be reminding myself why on earth I started in the first place. To become the strongest, best version of myself. And the strongest version of myself doesn't have arse her sessions. She goes in there and she gives everything she possibly can. Everyone's why is different, but you need to have that at the center of your thoughts through each session, as it will push and drive you. Going in with a purpose is key. As I said, it might sound deep, but it is what will drive you through that session so that you aren't just sitting there half-arsing everything that you do. Another huge tip is to go into your session with a plan. This is something that I still see happening to this day. People entering the gym and just winging it. And look, it is fine when you're just beginning and you're just trying to get used to the gym. But if you're at a stage where you know the environment and you do want to improve, and you're still just going into the gym and hoping for the best and just hopping on whatever is free and just wishing that progress will happen, you're not going to get very far. You need a plan, and a plan as well that's actually specific to you and your goals. You want to know that you're heading in the right direction and that you're going in with intention and ready for that session and ready to progress. You feel ready to grow. So get yourself a plan and remind yourself every single session of why you're there and what you want to improve on and what you want to get better at. This will drive you to constantly wanting to do better, to become better. Now, I don't want this to get twisted. If you're constantly doing more and more and more and adding more sets and more reps and more training days, you are going to upend yourself and hate it. This is not the answer. The intensity you need to give is within the sessions and sets and the reps you're already doing. You do not need to keep adding more and doing more. You need to actually improve on what you're already doing with intensity and do the best you can with your own ability in the sessions you have. Overtraining can lead to a plateau and can lead to you getting stuck in one place. It can lead to injuries and also just hating what you're doing in general. People think the more you do, the better. Training 6, 7 days a week, mountains on hours of cardio, and showing up every single day. This is not a good thing. I can guarantee you this, it won't last long. And I can also guarantee you haven't seen the results you want to see from doing this because your body's under too much stress. And if you can go to the gym 6 days a week or 7 days, then you're not training hard enough and giving enough to those sessions that you're actually doing. If you were training with true intensity and purpose, you would feel the need to rest. And you would also feel satisfied training 3, 4, 5 days a week, whatever the amount you are aiming for and is needed. If you feel like you can go to the gym 6 or 7 days in a row and enjoy it, something's not right with the training you're performing on those days. It's not intense enough. I even know myself at the moment, I train 4 days as I did want to give a little bit more progress on to running as much as I could. Obviously, that is a little goal of mine too. My training intensity is still so high on those 4 days that I still need to take rest days. I need to recover and I need to give my body the opportunity to actually rest so that I can keep performing correctly. I have been there, by the way. I've been in the place where I'd go to the gym nearly every day, walk around aimlessly, do extra sets of everything, extra reps on everything I could think of, and just try to do more and more so that I could get better. I've been there where you go to the gym and solely use the cardio machines for hours, thinking that's how you'll get the body you want. I've been there where you feel burnt out. I've also been there where training had zero intention or purpose, and I would just go into every session and never fully know what I'm doing. I've been there where I would go in and do 4 sets of absolutely everything. I would rush through it all and nothing would ever change. I've been in your shoes, so trust me, I get it. But I never saw my physique change in the way I wanted it to by doing all of this. Yes, I might burn some more calories, but really it's not about what it comes down to with calories. It comes to the training intensity that you're doing in that session. I found I never truly looked how I wanted to look. I never looked lean or toned and had little to no muscle mass. So I want you to avoid my mistakes. And I want you to get the most possible from your training and progress as you can. Things drastically changed for me when I asked for help and for a direct plan for my goals and for myself about 4 years ago, I'd say. Yes, I have been in the gym for 10 years, but I can shamefully say I wasted the first 6 years doing random shite and not moving anywhere fast because I just thought I had to keep doing more and more and more and not having any intention or plan to go off. It honestly pains my heart, if I'm honest, but my lessons are now your gain. When I got a plan and actually set out goals and intentions and actually changed my training up so that I could give every inch of purpose and intensity, When I started going into the gym and leaving everything on the floor and giving 110%, that's when things started to change for me. I've made more progress over the last 3, 4 years than I ever did in all the years before that combined. So trust me when I say, start training properly and start making sure you're doing things to actually benefit you and your goals. And if anything, don't be that person thinking you need to do more and more and more. All of the days of the week, all of the sets, and all of the reps. What you actually need to concentrate on is the quality of your sessions and work, not the quantity. We all hear of training until failure, but what exactly is training until failure and why? This is something I used to never really understand. Sure, I was actually convinced I was training until failure my whole life, but until I actually trained until failure, I realized that I was never doing it previous to that. What I had been doing was just a little bit of a walk in the park, a breeze through my hair until I actually truly felt that failure point. Training until failure is when you train a specific muscle group on an exercise until that muscle cannot move the weight anymore. So if you're training your quads, say, and your back starts helping, you need to stop because you've trained until failure and you don't want to actually injure yourself either. Training until failure does not mean keeping going until your body can't go anymore. It means training until that muscle group you want to target can't go anymore. So once other body parts start helping you, or you've to adjust yourself, or you've to ask for help, that's when you stop, as that is your failure point. For example, you're squatting and you aim for 8 reps. You get to rep 8 and it feels all right. So it wasn't that hard. It was hard, but not the hardest. You could go for the ninth rep and it could be extremely difficult and you could feel wiped out. So, yes, that is your failing point. Or you could go for that ninth rep and then you could go for a 10th, but you always need to try. The thing is to never be afraid of failing. Failing in the gym is probably the only time failure is deemed as successful. You actually want to get to that point. You want to feel failure. You want to give everything. You know you could, and you know you left everything on the floor. You couldn't possibly get another. Failing in the gym is success for muscle growth. Training until failure is a skill. I won't lie about that. It took me a while to really truly feel it and understand my body when it fails. It takes time to gauge what weight you need for certain rep ranges and sets, and it takes time for you to understand the signals your body may send to you to stop or to keep going. For example, the other day I was doing a chest press. I got to my 8th rep and I should have stopped. It was really fucking hard, and I gave every inch of my body to that 8th rep. For the 9th rep, I needed help. So my bum started moving off the bench to help me, my shoulders started moving, and I was using more muscle groups than just my chest to actually move that bar on rep 9. Someone also had to help me get the bar up for me. And so yes, that 9th rep wasn't even a rep as I wasn't executing it correctly and it was done completely wrong. To me, it was the 8th rep that was my failing point there, as rep 9 wasn't done correctly. But that's okay because now I know next week or in my next session, I'm going to try my best to execute rep 9 where it needs to be, and that is progress. Training until failure does not mean giving yourself injuries, so please know that. You do not push yourself to the absolute limit so that you're in agonizing pain. You just want to push that muscle group to its limits. And once that muscle group has kind of had enough, that's when you stop. It simply means giving all you can correctly, executing the movement correctly, and training until you simply cannot perform that movement with that weight safely or correctly anymore. I also just want to say that if your rep ranges, say, for example, on your plan are 10 to 12, and you can easily get 13 or 14 reps, absolutely keep going for that 13th or 14th rep. Just because your plan says 12 reps does not mean you stop there. It is simply just a guide. If you can easily get 14 reps in a, say, 10 to 12 rep range, that's when I would say to move up in weight so that you can slightly move up and then get in between that 10 to 12 rep range. Once it's being performed as perfectly as it can be, then move up in weight. Training to failure is a whole new zone within your sessions, and it's something you should be implementing and practicing. As I said, it can take time to really feel and understand it, and that is okay. But we are always giving 110% once that 110% is performed correctly. Something else that's so important to touch on when it comes to training is when to know when you need to actually up your weights or to just move up. You may have heard of progressive overload, as I feel like it's all we see on the internet. Between progressive overload and calorie deficit, I honestly don't know which one is worse or said more. But progressive overload is when you slowly progress in every session and when every session simply gets better. But a lot of people get this twisted and believe the only way to progress in sessions is to add more weights to what you're using, and this would be terribly wrong. This is how things can go a bit lopsided and your progress can severely be affected. I need you to take this in with every inch that you have. I'm going to say it slowly. What you're lifting and the weight you're lifting does not matter if you're lifting it wrong. If you're lifting 100 kg, but the movement is being affected and it's completely off, that 100 kg doesn't mean anything as you're not performing it correctly. You would get more benefit lifting 60 kg, but actually doing the movement as it should be done. The weight you lift is nothing if your execution is off. I ain't gonna lie, as you all know, I've been there at times where my ego comes in and I start loading up the weights and then I can't perform the exercise as much as I could have. I've been in positions where I chose weight over performance. Yes, me as a coach, I do that too. I always have to remind myself that I'm not actually benefiting from hip thrusting 200 kg, for example. If I can't feel that in my glutes and my back is doing more of the work, it's being done wrong. How you lift is more important than what you lift. Sure, what's the point in training a specific muscle group if you're not actually engaging that muscle group correctly? What's the point in training back and the weight being so heavy that it's your shoulders doing 50% of the work? Progressive overload is an amazing way to progress, of course, and to monitor things, but it's super important to know that it's not just how much weight you lift. Here's some pointers to know that you're still progressing without even looking at weights. So, number one, an extra rep compared to the last session. Last week you got 10 reps, this week you might get 11. Number two, adding in a pause at the hardest point of the movement. This will intensify the exercise itself and it will engage the muscle more. Number three, making sure your tempo is correct and done slowly. Rushing through a movement isn't going to engage the muscle. Trust me, I've been there too. Rushing through everything and on to the next. Please slow it down and actually feel the burn and engagement. As I've said, it's meant to be hard. And if you can't perform a movement with proper tempo and slow everything down, then you might need to bring the weight down so that you can lift it in that tempo. Number four, look at your execution. From tempo to your pathway to plain and simple form. You need to make sure that your movement is crispy clean before adding in any more weight. What's the point doing a shoulder press incorrectly and then going up in weight to just do it even more incorrect? Make sure your movement is done right before anything else. And number five, if everything else feels good and everything is being performed amazingly, then we could add some more weights on and make sure that we're progressing with weights. It's so important to realize that there's so much more to just the kg in your hand or on the machine. Progress comes in so many shapes and forms within the gym. One of which being how it actually feels. You need and want to be able to engage that muscle that you're working on and put it under as much tension as possible before anything else. And trust me when I tell you, when it starts to burn, that's not when you give up. That's when you push even harder and get those extra reps. It's in the zones of discomfort where muscle growth and progress takes place. Okay, so one I see and hear a lot, and I just think can be very confusing in general, is that topic of cardio and what it does, and training and what it does, but also the difference between both and what they're needed for. It's so important to know that everyone's different, everyone's individual, and everyone's goals are personal and different. So, of course, this will slightly change from person to person. What I want to chat about is what both methods actually do and why we do them. So, weight training is just an amazing form of exercise. Not to be biased, it's my favorite. It helps so many parts of the body, muscle mass, joints, and even bone density. Weight training is going to help you hugely in the long run of your life. It's going to help your body do things as long as possible and also keep it healthy. Through weight training, you can build muscle, of course. And fun fact, muscle takes up less room on the body than fat does. So, through the process, your body will, of course, appear smaller as more muscle equals a smaller appearance. Muscle does indeed weigh more than fat. So, you can look your smallest self, but weigh the same or even more than when you were a little bit bigger, simply because you've more muscle that takes up less room. So, you appear smaller, but more muscle can weigh more. That's why it's so important to not concentrate on numbers too much, which I discuss hugely in episode 3 of the podcast. So, more muscle is always a good thing. And no, weights do not make you butch or manly. It's completely dependent on your goals. But I can just say if you wanted to look manly and truly gain a hell of a lot of muscle, you'd want to be taking extreme amount of supplements and dedicating your entire life to the cause. As well as this, it would take years upon years. So do not fear muscle mass. But if you're just someone who is simply wanting to change slightly, change the shape of their body, or to lose a bit of body fat, training weights and building muscle is an amazing way to do this. So never get it twisted. Through building muscle, we appear smaller, but we also then burn more energy as the more muscle we have, the more we burn day to day. So it's a win win. Muscle is the goat, and we should want more of it on our bodies no matter what. Weight training will also give this muscle mass as well as an amazing longevity to life. As well as this, it helps change the shape and composition of your actual body through targeting specific areas and muscle groups. Weight training, it gives longevity, it can change your body composition, and it makes you feel good. Let's be real. When it comes to cardio, all this really does is burn calories faster. For me, cardio is a way to expend energy more quickly. Of course, it's amazing for health reasons too, as we all want to be able to walk up a flight of stairs without collapsing or our lungs feeling like they're about to give in. So, cardio itself is more so to expend energy quickly, and obviously, of course, health reasons in itself. If you are looking to lose body fat in itself and you want to be in a calorie deficit, of course, cardio is amazing as well, as you will be pushed further into that calorie deficit. Cardio is amazing to feel good, to feel fit, and to feel healthy, but it's important to know that cardio won't change your body composition or help you gain any muscle mass. I would always say to incorporate both into your plan, depending on your goals, of course, and that's kind of what we always need to look at. Where you want to head and what you want to do will obviously then dictate how much of each you're doing. Having both weight training and cardio in your lifestyle is what will have you seeing more results and progress than ever before, and actually feeling strong and healthy whilst you do it. Just let me repeat: weight training, amazing for building muscle, longevity, changing the shape or appearance of your body. It also burns calories, of course. Cardio, amazing to expend energy a lot quicker and to bring up your fitness levels. But together, it's a perfect recipe for progress. You may see so many people online telling you to do this or that, or whatever in between. And it's so hard to know. And I will say to make sure you're doing whatever is suitable for you and your goal. We also see all over Instagram and social media how someone might be in the gym training, and we presume that's what we need to do or how we should be performing. Don't fall into this trap. Everyone is different. We also see so much shit online and compare ourselves or our own training to it. But always remember, once you are doing what you need to do and ticking your own boxes for your own goals, all the rest is simply noise. Do not let comparison take away from what you're doing. Okay, So, we're going to get into some major tips that is going to help elevate your sessions and training. These are things that helped me literally take everything to a whole new level and truly see progression and my goals come to life. So, number one, goal setting. Set your intentions, set your goals, and remember them every step of the way. Without this purpose of why you're doing what you're doing, you'll never have a solid driving force to each and every session and each and every week as you go. Number two, use the logbook. Monitor your sessions. Queens, I cannot get this true enough, but if you are not logbooking already, please begin. Like right now, today. Whether it's an actual logbook, your phone, or just a pen and paper, whatever it is, start. Something you can see each week and see the numbers you're moving, that's what you need. So you also see your progression and how things are moving. If you're not tracking sessions, you could literally be going backwards or just staying the same. Imagine lifting 12 kg one week and the next lifting 10 kg and not knowing any different. When logging and monitoring your sessions, make sure to keep track of the sets you do for that exercise, the weight you lifted, and the reps you got for each set. And then, for example, the next week, look back on these numbers and see how you can improve that in that session you're doing. Number three, ask for help when needed. I get it. We're all nervous at times. And Scarlett asking someone for help or asking a coach or anyone to help you. But this is how you grow. Nobody knows everything. So if you want to learn, you have to ask questions and be willing to listen. This is also why having a coach is always amazing, as you learn so much and have someone to lean on. You have someone to ask all the questions to and to discuss any struggles. Number four, form over weight. We chatted about this once, obviously, above. The weight you lift makes zero difference if you cannot move it correctly. If you're doing a squat and your back is caving in, your knees are buckling, and you can't get a direct pathway, you need to bring the weight down and actually concentrate on engaging your quads, the muscle needed to be worked, instead of your whole body. Don't be an ego lifter. This will not help your progress. Number five, recording your sessions and movements so that you can look back on them or sending them to your coach. I get it. We can all find recording embarrassing. I remember my first time whipping out my phone and propping it against a water bottle in the gym. I thought I was going to die of embarrassment, but not one person cared. Nobody flinched. And realistically, why would they? I'm here trying to better myself and trying to make sure I'm progressing. So who else cares? Please record your exercises when you can, especially ones you may think are being done wrong or you aren't sure of. You will see things through a video you would never feel when performing. Also, send them to someone you trust, a coach, a friend, someone with maybe a little bit more experience than you, and ask them to have a look as well and help. Number six, quality over quantity. The quality of your sets is far more important than the quantity of the sets or of the days you train. Please know just upping and doing more and more and more of volume will not help your progress. Training intensely 3 days a week will get you further than training half-arsed 6 days a week. If you're in the gym every single day and feel like you can keep doing more and more and more, then I hate to tell you, but you are not training hard enough. You are not making progress by doing more. You make progress by doing better. And number seven, stop giving a fuck what other people think about you. We all start somewhere. Every expert was once a foolish beginner. I know starting and just being in the gym itself and doing something new can be daunting. Maybe starting a new gym, using new machine, trying to record your sets for the first time, or seeing new people. Of course, we can feel nervous. But why are you caring about others when you are there to better yourself? Just like everyone else there, I promise you, they're far too fixated on themselves to even know what you're doing or if you're performing something correctly or what you're nervous about. So fuck everyone and just concentrate on your own lane and your own race. With these tips, your training will completely level up. I promise you that. These are things you can implement right now, today, to make sure you're progressing and doing what's best for you. So set your goals, get a logbook, ask for help, concentrate on form, record your movements. Quality is more important than quantity. Fuck everyone around you. That right there is the key to getting the most out of what you do in your training sessions. A small thing I'm also asked about a lot is your watches and calories burnt and so on and so forth during your training. Please know if it's a weight training session, of course, we want it to be intense and the heart rate to be working, but weight training sessions and how good they are not based off of a number on your watch. It is based off of your progress session to session, week to week. Building muscle is not about constantly burning calories, especially if it's just off of a little watch on your arm. They are not all that accurate, just so you know. So, yes, we want intensity and we want progression, but the calories burnt in your session will not and does not ever dictate how good that session was and how much you're improving. I don't even put my watch on or look at it while training. It doesn't make a difference. Have I done better than last week in some sort of sense or form is what I ask myself. And if yes, that's exactly what we want. The main aim here is to build muscle so that you burn more calories day to day in the long run. Because as I've said, the more muscle you have on your body, the more calories you burn daily. Okay, Queens, if you are still listening, thank you so much for being here with me on this episode. It's a topic I love to talk about and to add value to. So please always ask me any questions. It's what I'm here for, of course. Don't forget to tag, share, and follow. As always, I love seeing you all. And thank you for your support always. It never goes unnoticed. For now, let me leave you with this. Progress is what we all want and we all strive for in any shape or form. We just want to be 1% better every day and every week. And you know what all those 1% add up to? Huge amounts. And they accumulate hugely over time. And that's exactly what we want. So, yes, it can take time and it can be a slow process. But you know what's slower? Quitting on yourself or never starting at all. Enjoy the process just as much as any goal or any win. The man who loves walking will always walk further than the man who loves the destination because it's in the process itself where the magic happens. Oh, and on the days when you don't believe in yourself or feel full of doubt, please always remember I'm over here believing in you and I'm over here rooting for you.